Hi everyone, this is Ron from POCculture.com. I'm here with Yvonne Chapman, who plays Zhilan in CW's Kung Fu. Yvonne, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Great. I know you're in Vancouver in the midst of filming season three as we go. How has this season been for you to be up to a series regular and your character has gone through a lot? But before we get into those details for you, how's it been?
Oh, it's been great, and it was nice. This was the first year that we got to shoot during the summer in Vancouver, so that was a bit of a change of pace, and I think everybody really enjoyed seeing the city, in its warm glory, as I'll say it. And I was happy to kind of bring them around during the summer so they can see that part of Vancouver instead.
Yeah, definitely. And it must feel like, I mean, for you, I know it's basically home at this point, but for the rest of the cast, the third season, it must feel like a second home for everyone. How does it really support the team bonding to have everybody there now, a third season?
Oh yeah, I mean it strengthened it even more so, and we started off getting on so well together, and now we're just feels like a true family has come together through the third season. So it's wonderful. It's been really great.
And is there anyone amongst the cast? I mean, you all seem very close, but is there anyone or two that you're particularly close with and spend a lot of time together?
Oh my gosh, I think we all spend a lot of time together pretty evenly, actually. And what's really nice too is that this season, Jelana has been more in the fold with the whole Shen family household. Um, so having said that, it's like now I actually get to spend time with them on set as well. So getting into that dynamic.
That's right. And that's definitely something I really enjoyed and appreciated seeing about your character is that she's being a bigger part of the family. And like you said, a bigger part of the dynamic. Um, one of the great things that you talked about the show, even back a couple seasons ago, was that the show has all these Asian characters that go against stereotypes that are multi-dimensional, multi-generational. How have you appreciated Jilan's evolution from season one till now?
Yeah, her evolution has been tremendous. I mean, I was speaking to Bob and Christina and really thanking them for building such a character in such a way because season one, she started as the villain, and we saw that dark side of her. And that's really one of the lenses that we primarily saw her through. And then as the seasons went on, we got to see different facets of her. I think what's beautiful about all of it, though, not just for my own character, but for everybody, is that you still only get a snapshot of what these people are, even though you've only known them for 3 years. There's so much story left to tell. And for Jalan, it's of her past, where she's going, the potential of her future. We haven't even scratched the surface of that yet. So I'm hoping that that's something that we can explore later on.
I definitely agree. I feel like Zhilan's like backstory is just ripe with more to be told, and like you said, the future as well. How much do you get a chance to give input about just the development of the character, inputting your own personality or thoughts? Like, how collaborative is that process?
Oh, it's really collaborative. I mean, every single time that script comes out, it's almost as if like they've read my mind without even having to read it. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, great! Like I get to put this kind of facet on her. I get to show a sense of humor to her. And also, there's such a joy in taking those words and just trying to inject them with something else, which there's always a lot of leeway and flexibility for on set, off set, when we have the conversations before the scripts even come out. And as we discuss them, there's always kind of iterations that we get to inject of our own thoughts into the script, into the actions of the character. So it is really incredibly collaborative, and I'm so thankful for that.
That's great to hear, and I could tell like the writers and the creators really understand the character and have a deep appreciation for Zilan, so which is great. Sometimes I hear actors who have played a character for a while, like you have, start to it goes both ways. Like that character's personality starts to show in their real life, and so I'm wondering, Zilan's a pretty badass, and you might be a badass too. But have you learned anything or incorporated any of Jalan's characteristics and personality into your own life?
I think having done a lot of stunts on the show has given me a bigger appreciation for that physicality and wanting to learn more of that. So I'm trying to inject that more into my life for sure. Upping, the Muay Thai classes, being a little bit more experimental with like some forms of movement. trying to go into dance, like that kind of thing, which I've never done before. So I feel like that has definitely bled into my personal life for sure.
That's great. That's a perfect segue in terms of the stunts and the training. Of course, a show that's called Kung Fu and has the legacy that it has, the martial arts is a big part. And I've really appreciated. I enjoyed season one's action scenes, but I think the series has really upped its game in the last two seasons. Could you talk a little bit about the training that you've been going through and how that's also, like you said, kind of upped its ante and made it more intense?
Yeah, I mean, going back to your point of collaboration, I think that's really the heart of where the artistry of the stunt work comes from, is because I look at that team and our coordinator, Andrew Chin, is incredibly collaborative. And he really pays attention to the details of how to marry the movements with the character development. And he always asks us for our feedback of what feels right, what in the personal journeys of these characters, what would be appropriate in terms of that movement and what where we can take it. And on top of that, his team has a varied has different varied levels of experience and different styles within each instructor. And I really see that marriage come in nicely of different styles and having their voices also lend it to the movement. So I think that's why it's become so elevated, is because of that collaboration.
Yeah, that's great. And a lot of martial artists do like in martial arts to dance, and I
Mhm.
really feel like that comes through on the show. So who is the best or most impressive martial artist in the cast?
Oh gosh. Ooh, I really enjoyed my fight with JB, who plays Sebastian. I know he only
Yeah.
had one, but that was a really great fight because it was like the first time that Zhilan and Pei got to team up. And I think that was a big moment for them. And he moves incredibly well. I would like to see him fight a lot more. But really everybody is so impressive. I mean, of course, Olivia has been doing this for 3 years and she's taken on the most of all of us. And she's always great with her moves. So is Eddie and Vanessa Kai. Like I think of, all the fighters, like they all come out swinging. So
Agreed. And of course, you hold your own. I'm so glad that you brought up JB. For those who are watching, JB Tadena, who plays Sebastian. And I don't know, are you aware that of the hashtag hot chef that goes on
yes.
social media every
I
time?
don't know who started it. I feel like maybe it was someone in the cast. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like it might have been like there's a Kung Fu Writers Twitter account,
Oh,
and they do a great job and of putting it. So JB and I actually are friendly, and I've gotten to get to know him over the years, and it's been super fun to see him on the show. Um, it, Behind the scenes, what's he like? What's he like to hang out with, and what has he added to the cast? Over the last couple seasons.
oh, he's a sweetheart. He's such a lovely person. He's super fun to hang around with, really chill. And yeah, he fits in perfectly with the cast. He's just been a great addition to the family.
I love it. JB, you owe me a little bit. I didn't even feed Yvonne that that question, but I appreciate you
He's
bringing
not
him up.
paying me or anything either.
That's right. But I love the support amongst the cast. I think all of you is very clear that y'all enjoy each other, and that comes through on screen. Um, you mentioned Paling, and I think like the dynamic with Zhilan and Paling is so great, and kind of especially the recent episode villains, where there's like a reconciliation. I thought was one of the most emotionally satisfying moments. How much do you all enjoy working together, and how do you make sure that the chemistry between you two is so strong?
Oh, thank you. I mean, Vanessa's just a fantastic human being, and like we just really enjoy each other's company. And she's always very, very thoughtful about the work, and we've always been able to communicate in a really clear way about that. Um, and at the very beginning of the season, I did have a conversation with the showrunners because they did say that moment was to come in the season. And we did have a talk about like, well, there's so much unsaid about these two. So how do we fit that in? And for me and Vanessa, I would say it comes really organically. Um, Having that kind of rapport as the sisters that they are, and just having that emotional connection. And I'm really happy with how it turned out. I hope that translated well for everybody else.
Yeah, I thought it was really beautiful, and it's not that easy to have those moments in like a more action or lighter show. But I thought you and Vanessa really hit it out of the park. So certainly congratulations
Oh,
on
thank you.
that. Um, One of the things that you've mentioned is that you like to create like a notebook for your character and kind of like add to it. And you mentioned you found a black notebook with black pages, at least a couple seasons ago for Zhilan. Do you still have that notebook? And how has it changed over the last couple seasons?
I still have it. I haven't used it. Not for the
Oh,
last season and not for this season. I've used different books because she's changed. So it didn't feel right anymore writing in a black book with black pages. I've actually used something far more modest now and a little bit more humble. Yeah, it's definitely changed. And actually, it's funny that you say that, did it lead into the personal because I started using my own personal notebook for that. I have like four notebooks on the go, and then now I found it a little bit more comfortable to write about it in my own personal one too. So
I love that. It's so fascinating to hear about your creative process, and clearly there's like a blending of you and John going
yeah,
on
yeah,
in the real
definitely.
world. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I said in season one, I mean, she was remarkably different from anyway, how I feel she was remarkably different from me personally, but definitely in the last two seasons, I have more of a personal connection towards that. So yeah, it's definitely changed a little bit for me.
that's great. Now, obviously, you know a little bit about about what's coming in this season and beyond. But so, without any spoilers, nothing that you already know. But where would you like to see Jilan continue to grow, or what elements of her story would you love to see pursued? Again, that you don't already know is happening.
Sure. I mean, for Jalan, I think there's going to be a point of her understanding what it means to actually change
Mhm.
and understanding how to do that in a way that isn't a band-aid effect, because I think in season one, for example, she's always been looking towards if she was able to avenge her family's death, that she'd be able to move on from her childhood trauma and then maybe be a happy person. And so we saw her in this vendetta with for vengeance throughout the season one and leaking in again to season two, and that didn't work for her. So now in season three, you start to see her on a different trajectory of like, let me try to save instead of destroy as a means of trying to find redemption for herself. So I would love to see her in a place where she understands what that actually means and maybe understanding or not fully, but actually reckoning with the fact that there's a lot more work to
Yeah, I like that. That's deep, and I hope we get to see that exploration. Switching gears a little bit before I let you go, I know you're a self-professed like fantasy nerd, and
do.
so you're about to blow up even bigger than you are, I think, as Avatar Kyoshi in the live-action Avatar series. How exciting is it to be part of such a beloved franchise? And how much pressure do you feel to play that role?
I was just gonna say before you even said pressure, exciting and incredibly nerve-wracking. Because look, I have full faith in the team. I'm really, really excited to see how it turns out. I will say that they spared no expense for the Kyoshi look, so I'm really excited for people to see what she looks like. I don't even really recognize myself in it, so we'll see how everybody relates to that. But I am incredibly proud of what is to come, and I hope everybody is too. I think they really kept in mind the audience that grew up with that series, and they really honored that. Um, so yeah, we'll see what happens. I have no idea when it's coming out. Sometimes next year is all I heard, or is all that's been released. So, but anyway, I'm very stoked about that.
And what was it about the character in particular that you really enjoyed and was excited about playing?
Oh God, just her grandeur and everything. Her grandeur, but she never really, in my opinion, it's not something that she puts out there as like a statement, so to speak. Like I read the Kyoshi books and I really was fascinated by her backstory. Um, so incredibly rich, and just to have that history and trying to portray that in the way that I could in the time that she does appear on the show. And I think that they really materialize that materialize that image of her in a very adept way. And I'm trying not to give away, so that's why I'm
Right.
stumbling here. I guess all I'll say is that you'll just have to wait and see because anyway, it's pretty phenomenal. So I'm excited.
Absolutely. Kyoshi's a big fan favorite, and we're all excited to see you in the role. And hopefully, we can connect maybe when you can be a little bit more
Yes.
open about the character.
Yeah, I would love that.
Well, Yvonne, thank you so much. I've been really enjoying this season and can't wait to see where Zhilan and yourself goes next. Thanks for
Okay.
your time.
Thank you so much, Ron. I really appreciate it. It's nice talking to you.
Likewise.